So I want to start by talking about the parts of our village that we didn't choose and that we can't really change. And those parts are mostly around the way that the brain evolved to protect us as humans. So the way the brain works is that it's very conservative. It's very much about survival, about making sure we didn't get killed back when we lived in the savannah, back when we were cavemen and women. And that means that our brain is actually very negative. We have what's called negativity bias, which means that if we see something that's ambiguous, like a movement in the bush, our mind will tend to go into the worst case scenario and think, oh my God, it might be a predator, because then we would have escaped and stayed safe, instead of thinking, oh, maybe it's just a little cute little rabbit and I'm gonna check it out, because that could have been potentially dangerous. So that's something that is really important to realize about the way our old school brain works, is that it's actually really negative, that we tend to be very good at judging other people, judging ourselves, at comparing ourselves to other people, at jumping to the worst case scenarios, at being actually very negative and giving a lot more weight to negative things that happen to us than to positive things. I'm sure that you've all experienced something like, you do something, you give a presentation, and you get a lot of good feedback, but then you get one person who gives you negative feedback, and that's all that you can think about. And this is actually goes back to the 5-to-1 ratio, where we need about 5 positive events to 1 negative event in order to feel like there's a balance. And we have about 5 negative thoughts for 1 positive thought. It's just the way that the brain works. And so realizing this can be really helpful, because I think that there's a lot of messages out there about just be positive, think positive and good things will happen. And it's actually not very realistic for the way that the brain works, and actually would take a lot of energy to try to change our thoughts and to think positive all the time. And so there's easier ways to actually work with our thoughts, and I will talk about that in a later video. But just for now, it's really good to realize it's not my fault, actually, that I have this brain that evolved to keep us safe as humans, and that it's not my fault that my mind tends to be quite negative and quite catastrophizing. And it's the same with emotions. Emotions also have an evolutionary function, and they also evolved to help keep us safe and to give us information about our surroundings, about whether there's danger, about whether something is working for us or not. And so emotions are also something that we can't fully control. Both thoughts and emotions, they sort of come up without us being fully in control of them. And the only thing that we can really choose is how we respond to them, but not so much whether or not we feel a certain way or what thoughts we're thinking. And so it's really great when we start to realize this, because it kind of allows us to let ourselves off the hook a little bit, to not be so hard on ourselves about what we should be thinking or feeling, because those are not the things that actually matter. What really matters is what we do next, what we choose to do with our actions, because that's something that we can always control. So we can have thoughts like, I don't want to go to the gym, and choose to still go anyway, even though we're not feeling like we want to do it, and we have the thought that we don't want to do it. And that's when we start to feel a lot more free, in a way, when we're not controlled by the sort of automatic thoughts and emotions in our village, and we realize that actually I can still choose the actions that I take, and I can choose actions that are in line with my values or the things that matter to me in life.